Hey, Paul.
Hello.
We love talking about innovative businesses from the regions, the Celtic regions. Who are you and what is Ultramed?
Ultramed's a company that I formed 10 years ago. I was an anaesthetist just up the road in the hospital here. And the problem was that the preoperative assessments looked archaic. And you've probably all had preoperative assessments. You get dragged to the hospital, fill in endless forms, and then you wonder why you've actually gone there. And half the patients don't need to go to the hospital. So that's what I was trying to solve. That's the problem. I was flying from Gatwick to Newquay, and the guy sat next to me was reading a boat magazine. I thought, oh, he's another bloody Londoner coming down to sort of sail down here. Not a bit of it. It turned out our boats were 3 apart from each other in the marina. He's a creative designer, and he works just over the road here in the event square. And he does CGI high-end design. So I'm the doctory bit. I run a software company and can barely turn my phone on. And he's the business brains running Sanders Studios. So I showed him the idea, and he went, okay, and we incorporated. We had some help from the CDC, Cornwall Development Company, to start with, a small grant, bootstrapped, did an angel investment raise locally. And then the most interesting bit of that investment journey was we did Crowdcube as a fundraise. And we went on looking for £100,000. We got that by day 3, and we raised 317,000 and closed on day 23 out of the normal 30. So people like yourselves, who may not be medical, knew what the problem was with preoperative assessment. We now have 600,000 patients contracted to use our process, our system in 2025. We're in 25 trusts. I haven't given you a chance yet, have I?
It's perfectly fine. The less I have to do, I'm happy.
We have 25 employees, average salary is about 50,000, and we're an entirely virtual company. So whilst the beating heart of the company is in Cornwall, we're registered at the Tremeau Innovation Centre. We now have got an employee in Canada, one in Czechoslovakia, and then across the UK. And we've just incorporated a company in Australia as a subsidiary company there.
Advantages of starting a company in Cornwall and staying in Cornwall?
Well, why would you want to be anywhere else? Sort of. You know, the boat story, I think, at the beginning told you a lot about it. It's a fantastic place in terms of the support that we've had. I've just met John Whittaker there. He's been involved in our journey. Lindsay from Axton from Buzz was our initial sort of software developer. We've now brought it in-house, but sort of having that expertise sort of locally to get us to an MVP was really important.
Sounds like you're scaling a bit, and we talk about interceltic kind of connections. Medical sometimes can be tricky because, you know, some of the rules and the laws that are set up maybe in the UK are not the same in Brittany, France, in Ireland. Is this something you're thinking about, and is that a challenge?
It is a challenge. We have a contract with Cork University Hospital, so we are in Ireland and are set up sort of with the right sort of governance processes for Ireland. Brittany would be, you know, a stretch, not just the language, but as you rightly say, the regulatory compliance. So we're at the moment focusing, sort of looking at Australia, and then we've done something called HIPAA compliance. It doesn't matter what it is, but it allows you to get into the States.
Getting into the States kind of is expensive. Are you fundraising again, or?
We're not fundraising at the moment. We've done everything sort of since 2017 on revenue. We have had a £460,000 Innovate UK grant relatively recently. That's to look at the use of AI, machine learning, in risk prediction for people having operations.
This is interesting on the AI piece. Do you feel since you've started there's a change in expectations in maybe patient, how they interact with doctors, how they interact with maybe AI or voice bots and all that stuff?
Yeah, undoubtedly. I think sort of, you know, most people were sort of amazed when they get given a 20-page booklet to fill in terms of, or even more strange that the nurse asks all the questions. we've managed to demonstrate a 34% increase in preoperative assessment capacity by using our system. So if you look at what RCHT was doing, Royal Cornwall Hospitals Trust, it was spending about 800,000 on preoperative assessment when I was there 10 years ago. And you know, if you can sort of get a 30% increase in capacity with all the difficulties that there are around recruitment at the moment and raising national insurance and all that sort of stuff, using a digital solution seems to be a bit of a no-brainer. But getting into sort of business-to-business sort of sales is extraordinarily slow. The sales cycle can literally be sort of 7 years from people saying they're interested to actually getting it to contract.
Who are you selling to? Who's the ideal customer profile?
So big trusts. So it needs to be a trust level sort of thing because it's a complex system. I've only talked really about the patient side of it, but we're also managing the 20,000 patients and the flow of those patients through that preoperative assessment process. So they're relatively, well, they're enterprise level contracts. And then there's the private sector as well. So we have a contract with one of the largest sort of network providers of private services in the UK.
Challenges for growth this year, next year?
Selling. Yeah.
Who's doing the selling?
Me.
Okay. How can maybe someone in the room help you with that?
We have brought a business development manager in, and she's been an absolute godsend. Unfortunately, well, very fortunately for her, unfortunately for us, she's going on maternity leave soon. So we obviously need to backfill that sort of post. Selling to the NHS, you really do need to understand the NHS. I didn't touch on it, but I was the medical director at RCHT. So I've got experience of sitting on the board of a £300 million organisation and the bizarre way that the business cases get developed in the NHS. So that's quite an important part of this jigsaw puzzle, and an awful lot of companies that try and sell to the NHS wither and die because they just can't get in.
Okay. You mentioned Cork. There's a couple Irish in here. Anything they can do to help you maybe get a little bit more into the Irish market?
If you know the key decision makers in any large hospitals in Ireland, I'd welcome any introductions.
Cool. I think a few people can do that. Thank you, Paul.
Brilliant. Thank you all very much.
Okay, I won't change the slide yet. Or do you want me to show the video first before the panel come up?
No, we'll come down.
Yeah? Okay. Right. We'll have the panel come down. We've got Wales now talking about the tech village. You can be the keeper of the... Okay. And then you can all introduce yourself.
Good afternoon, everyone. I feel like standing between you guys and cocktails is kind of analogous with, standing between a politician and a TV camera. It's a kind of dodgy place to be. But what I'll do is I'll start the clock now, and I'll try and keep rigidly to it if I can. Bear with me for a second. No. So before I show you the video, my name is John O'Loughlin. For the more perceptive among you, probably realise I'm not from Wales. I'm actually, the closest I've ever been to the valleys is Liffey Valley. For anyone who's from Ireland will probably get that. I work for the Welsh Government Irish office, and I look after inward investment into Wales and exports from Welsh companies into Ireland. Previously, before that, I used to be an entrepreneur, but I'm feeling a lot better now. I'm still going to the meetings. I used to work for the UK government doing inward investment, and then recently, about 3 or 4 years ago, I moved over to Wales. So I might just quickly show you the video to get that out of the way. So that's one of our kind of inward investment pieces of material, and generally when I'm dealing with companies, and I kind of look after tech from in a European perspective, and people are generally looking for one of three things: so access to people, access to market, or access to talent. But there's a kind of thread that weaves right through that, and that's the ability to actually make introductions. And we've kind of titled this panel "Wales, the Tech Village." I suppose by that we're kind of maybe going to debate it a bit. By that we kind of mean that we think Wales is relatively small, easy to do business, and you only have one or two connections away from kind of meaningful connections. So on that note, I might just let the panel introduce themselves. As Cilla Black used to say, what's your name, where you're from, number one?
You want me to go first?
And maybe actually Damien as well, just to say a bit about how you ended up connected with the Interceltic Forum.
Yeah, so Damien Young is my name, and I'm the CEO and founder of Zeus Mobility, which is an e-mobility company, and we operate predominantly in Europe. So we operate across Germany, Sweden, Italy, but we also have, I suppose, an affiliation to Wales. So unlike maybe Carrie and Mark, and John, I'm only half Welsh. My father is Welsh. But we also have a small e-bike operation in West Wales as well, and this is something that we want to expand. So I got involved in the Interceltic Forum last year in Lorient, and I just found the experience, the connections, the contacts, the culturally similar approach to business fantastic, and I want to be a full-time member of this going forward.
Thanks, Damien. So I'm Mark John, so I'm co-founder at Tramshed Tech. So Tramshed Tech is a innovation hubs network, 10 years old now, next year. Started in Cardiff, but now has expanded across the whole of the coastal belt, if you like, of South Wales. So from Newport in the southeast through to Swansea and soon Pembrokeshire in the west as well. And it's interesting when John describes it as being like a tech village, if you like. Thinking about Marshall McLuhan's Global Village, the world is a series of small villages, and the first thing that people will say to you in Wales is, "Oh yeah, where are you from?" Or if you're like me from Barry, which is for television audiences where Gavin and Stacey was set, is where to buy you from then? And it's located in a specific small place, so hyper local, but then you're part of a slightly wider community across, unitary authorities, pan-regional authorities, and then across Wales. And so part of what we do is try to do those series of things, hyper-local, so hubs, innovation hubs, where communities can come together, collision spaces, if you like. But then how do we integrate great startups and scale-ups into the local ecosystems? How do we find them finance? How do we find them customers? How do we put in place growth programs? How do we provide the bridge between ourselves and national and international partners as well? So the Interceltic Business Forum was a perfect sort of platform for us. We've already been doing a lot of stuff, not just with Ireland, but with other partners. So to see the Celtic regions and nations coming together into a wider network, that's absolutely at the heart of our growth ideas as well. So we're delighted to be in Lorient last year and looking forward to being back there again later this summer and being here today.
This one? You hear me? Hello?
Yeah.
So my name's Carrie. I'm a principal associate at Capital Law. Capital Law is a full-service law firm. We're headquartered in Cardiff and Wales. We're very proud to be Welsh. We also have a very growing office in London. We also have a desk over in Paris. So I probably the person you least want to talk to because I do disputes. It's my main area of expertise.
We need that.
I help businesses or owners of businesses that are in trouble. But my main area of interest actually in cyber and cybersecurity. And one thing I think we're going to talk about in a bit is the growing cybersecurity cluster we have in Wales. And it's something which I'm really interested in and sort of pushing into at the moment. My involvement with the Interceltic Business Forum hasn't actually been for that long, maybe 2-3 years now. My mentor, Celine Jones, who some of you in the room may know, if you've met her, you'll remember her. She's very French, very proud to be French. And she showed me the importance of working across the Interceltic nations and the benefits that you can get from that, and introduced me to this forum, and it's something now I've enjoyed coming to for the past 2 years in Lorient. It's my first time ever in Cornwall, so I'm really excited to be here. And it's been fantastic so far meeting everyone here.
Thanks, Carrie. So, Mark, to you first. So, I suppose as an entrepreneur or a business person, the rocket fuel in your business is really that ability to network and to meet new people. And I often kind of semi-mock you when I'm doing email introductions and call you Wales' best connected man. And it's funny when you're saying earlier, what's the first thing someone from Wales normally says to you? It's normally, do you know Mark John? and generally everyone in the room does. I suppose tell us a bit about, I suppose, the upside and the downside of Wales being that tight ecosystem. I mean, you've built a phenomenal business. You know practically everybody. Sell it to us here. Why should people land and expand in Wales? I know you do run the soft landing program as well.
Yeah, it's a very easy place to get to meet people at every sort of tier, at every level, if you like. You know, even look around this room, there's a couple of people I know, like Gareth. We were in the BBC together, weren't we? You had talked about it earlier, now in Welsh Government. We got Dan and James there that we've been working with as well. If we don't know the exact person you need to speak to, we know who to speak to get to that person. So it's something like 2 degrees of separation, possibly 1. You know, you either know someone or you're related to them, or you know someone is related to them. And what that means is you can do business quite quickly. So we've always, we set out with a strategy when we first opened Tramshed Tech. It was based upon having myself done a series of cluster programs around Europe. So we created a cluster in Southeast Wales and on the creative, digital and tech sectors. And that cluster then clustered with other cities all around Europe. And these would be places like Nantes, for instance, in France, San Sebastian, Dublin, Aachen, Eindhoven. So we created a supercluster, if you like, a European supercluster around that. And this would have been over 15 years ago now. And I was really quite knocked that every time I went to one of these great cities, there'd be a fantastic place where people could come together. So Pi Data in San Sebastian or the Philips building in Eindhoven. And I'd keep coming back to Cardiff and saying, we need one of these. Because in there I could see literally combustion happening. I could see companies starting and growing and scaling. And so this is what we need to do. So we set out with a strategic ambition to actually to create that. Thankfully, we were early adopters. You know, we work with really anywhere then. Regus was around. So we got in quite early. But it grew quite quickly because we'd sort of tapped into a zeitgeist, I think. People understood that. And ever since, we've been trying to basically join the dots. So we've always used things like the REAP model, you know, the different sectors, working with capital, working with governance, working with SMEs, working with corporates and enterprise, and with academia, and being, if you like, the bit in the middle that helps to join those dots together. We have this thing that we describe as like almost like the Tramshed onion. So the heart of onion is where we sit in a hyper-local setting. And then the next skin out is the pan-regional approach. So working with, I sit on 2 regional growth boards in Wales, for instance. Then you've got the next skin is the Welsh national position. The next skin is the UK. And so we sit on a number of UK boards like the Barclays Eagle Labs Digital Growth Grant Board or the UK Tech Cluster Group Board. And then the final skin is the international, the outer layer, if you like. And what we try and do is be able to draw threads through all those and find best practice partners. We've always believed in growth through partnership. So we've always looked from very early on to find really great partners that we could work with. And we had a successful strategy, which meant that, and by partners I mean people like Google and Microsoft and Barclays Eagle Labs. So we set out to build bridges with them. And we're now looking to see how can we take that, if you like, that template model that we've developed in Wales, how can we find great partners elsewhere? And the Interceltic platform gives us a perfect opportunity to be able to achieve that.
I think I'm safe saying that anybody here in the room ever wants to pop over and visit any of the tram sheds, that are always more than welcome. You'll roll out the red carpet for them. Yeah.
Yes, and we have a formal scheme as well. We have as John alluded to, with Welsh Government, we have a soft landing scheme, which basically, I'll do my quick sales pitch now. So if you want to come and do business in the UK, sorry, Cornwall, we'd say, why not come to Wales? Because we're 2 hours from London. We've got a stack of benefits. We've got about 60% of the cost base of somewhere like London. We have a series of funds you can only get within Wales, which are run by the British Business Bank Equity Fund, a £130 million fund. There's a £50 million PwC scale-up fund in Wales. And you can get all the other benefits you can get from the UK as well. And because of this connectivity that John sort of mentioned, it means that we can also get you in front of all the key decision makers. You know, the previous speaker just said, you know, can someone introduce me to the heads of hospitals in Cork? Well, we could do those sorts of things in Wales because of that connectivity. And then we run a specific soft landing scheme, which means that for FDI projects that are looking to come into the UK, we can offer 6 months of free office space and all the things that go with actually helping to cultivate and grow a business, which is access to finance, access to places, access to people and talent as well. So we think it's a great way to do business, but then once you're in Wales, we want to join back up with the rest of the world as well. So this is a two-way process. Come to Wales, we'll help you grow, but then we'll take you back out into the international marketplace as well.
Thanks, Mark. And of course, we're on the road next week. We're in Dublin, Galway, and Limerick for you're making formal connections and doing deals with some of the accelerators and incubators and whatnot there. And I suppose I can attest to that point. In Wales, it's very easy to get in front of key decision makers. And I have one particular client who's been in front of the First Minister, the Minister for Transport, the head of FDI in Welsh Government, all within the last few months. So I mean, that's the kind of stuff we can do. So in terms of inward investment, you've seen one of the videos. Wales basically hangs its hat on 4 or 5 kind of key sectors. So it's compound semiconductors, food and drink, fintech, advanced manufacturing, and the other one is cyber. So I might just bring you in here, Carrie. And recently, the British Irish Chamber of Commerce ran a mission over to Cardiff. I think they were blown away, actually, by the stuff that's going on there. People have no idea, you know, the fact that Airbus have a facility there doing all this kind of stuff. So maybe you can just talk a bit about what you're seeing in the ecosystem and the connectivity and the ability to kind of cross-pollinate.
Yes, so there is so much going on in Wales at the moment. So, like you said, we've got Airbus, we've also got Thales, we've got Oracle, we've got some really big blue chip companies that are operating in Wales and thriving. And the best part about these companies is that they give back. So what they're doing is they're forming strategic partnerships with our universities and are helping the next generation come through and learn and train, which is great for us because it means that we can have this amazing pool of talent sat in Wales and attract more companies of similar size to our region because we can offer that talent. And we can offer it, like I said, much cheaper than London can. But it's not just that. It's so I'm on the panel of the advisory panel of the Welsh Cyber Resilience Centre. And what we do is we help SMEs and medium-sized businesses become more cyber resilient. And that's, you know, completely free, and they're given software and tools and trained onto how to become more cyber resilient, things that they need to look out for. And we run ransomware events. So we pull in the likes of big cyber security consulting companies like Bridewell, who have also got an operations centre in Cardiff. And they deliver sort of ransomware training where they take you through a real-life ransomware exercise as if you were sort of sat there on a Friday night having a glass of wine, your message comes up saying, right, you've been hit, pay us £1 million in crypto coin or whatever. And again, completely free. And what they do is just helping businesses become more aware and giving back to sort of the community. And then hopefully one day in future, that's something which they can develop and learn from. And if the worst did happen, they feel more secure and more confident in being able to deal with situations like that. And the other thing we have as well, which is really cool, is a Cyber Innovation Centre, which I know, Mark, you're very, very involved in, which is essentially companies that will go to the centre and say, look, I've got this cyber issue, what do I do? And then we bring in clever people who know what to do but haven't necessarily got the money to be able to fund the solution to do it. And then you bring in entrepreneurs who do have the money, who can then fund the people who can then solve the big company solutions, bring them all together, and you've got sort of a brilliant cohesion there, which they can then go on, solve the issues, and the smart people who've come up with the solutions can then go on and help other companies. And that's funded by Welsh Government as well as
on CCR.
And the CCR. So, you know, it's a really good ecosystem. There's lots going on. We've got the benefit of the blue chip companies. We've got the benefit of them teaching our next generation as well.
And super collaborative. I know they've been to Cork recently as well, so I'm sure anywhere we're in the kind of Interceltic family, they'd be more than happy to collaborate. Okay, Damien, so you're here to bring us back down to earth a bit now and give it to us straight. No, I mean, you've got a really interesting company and you're operational across Europe, and you kind of have, you've eyes on various different ecosystems. So maybe to ask you, what have you seen that works really well around the place? What are Wales doing well? What could they be doing better? Likewise, put that across the Interceltic spectrum altogether.
Yeah. So yeah, our business, we have about 7,000 vehicles, and most of these are kind of in mainland Europe, predominantly in Germany. So we launched in the German market in 2020, so it's not that long ago, and now we are in about 45 cities and towns in Germany. So expansion has been quite fast. Now, we're an Irish company. Why didn't we start in Ireland? Well, Ireland, because legislation has taken 6-7 years to come for micromobility. So we didn't start in Ireland. We thought if we wait for the Irish legislation to come, we could be sitting on our hands for the next 5 years. So when we look at Wales, I mean, and what I've seen and my experience in Wales and what I've heard here today, and you know, particularly over the last year since I've been working with John and the Interceltic Forum, you know, the supports available is by far, you know, streets ahead of what you'd get in places like Germany. I mean, in Germany, we've built a business there with zero supports from the German government, no financial handouts, no tangible supports, no intangible supports, and we've been able to kind of build the business there without that. The second thing in Wales, I suppose, is, and I think you mentioned it, John, is the approachability of people, right? So it's very easy to get a meeting with, you know, the local council or the First Minister and people kind of in power. And so what we depend on in Germany, for example, well, our service is provided to consumers, so individuals pay it, but we need permission from local authorities to operate 7,000 vehicles in their city. But you can see that, you know, having built it up to about 45 locations in Germany over the last number of years, that approachability of German cities to allow a service like this, it's much more forthcoming than in Ireland and Wales. So unfortunately what we see in places like Ireland and Wales is, while it's very much open for business, when the bureaucracy hits, everything slows down, right? So, you know, whether it's regulation, whether it's legislation, whether it's local authority, tendering and so on, that's what slows us down, right? So, and as an entrepreneur and as a kind of a fast-growing business, I think, you know, Russell mentioned it earlier on, you know, speed is important. And unfortunately, we don't have the time to spend 2-3 years negotiating with a local authority when we could be building 15, 20, 30 cities in mainland Europe. So while the supports and the people and everything is really approachable, really fantastic, that's what hits us. And it's different in every business. What hits us, though, is probably the long tail of bureaucracy.
Does anybody have any questions they'd like to ask? We've only got time for one more, so if somebody has a good one, I'm happy to take one from the audience. No? Yeah, go on ahead, James.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think that's a real gap we've now got. There's a lot of support around for startups, early stage growth businesses, in it to sort of late stage, if you like, sort of startups, so getting towards Series A. But then there's a distinct lack of, I don't know if it's ambition or what, there's a distinct lack of people getting from Series A to B and C and further down the track. And there's a sense in which owners sort of bail too early. You know, there's none of the Silicon Valley sort of carry on growing and growing and growing. They often look for events, you know, exit events too early. You know, where's our 3-year exit, for instance? And I think that, you know, testimony to that is the fact we've only got one FTSE listed company, Admiral Insurance. You know, in a sphere where we literally lead the world. So InsurTech is where, you know, if you think of Admiral, you think of Confused.com, Compare the Market, Go Compare, Money Supermarket. They're all Welsh companies, but they're very much below the radar. We haven't had a Welsh unicorn. And you look at a country like Estonia, for instance, same size as Wales, same population, 14 unicorns. And it's because they are always looking outside their home market. They're looking internationally from day one. So I think how we can create those scaling opportunities is by looking externally. And this is, again, back to the internationalization piece. This is where there's a real opportunity, but a real sort of problem at the moment.
Before we wrap up, Carrie, Damien, anything to add to that? Carrie?
Not on holiday, I'm back from drinks.
Okay. Just to wrap up, I suppose myself and Charles have cooked up an event for London Tech Week for any of you guys who are travelling there. Monday the 9th of June, we're doing an Interceltic scale-up event in the Welsh Government offices, which is in Westminster. We're going to have a venture panel, and we've a really good speaker secured who's going to talk about how you can build tech products if you are a non-techie, how you can use effectively the AI tools and that. So it should be a good night. It's invite only, but it's an open invite to anybody here in this room. So I'm sure Charles will probably send out an invite in due course. So that's us. We kept to the 25 minutes, closer to the drinks. Okay?
As John says, we're one step closer, everybody. Thank you so much. So the penultimate spot goes to our friends from Brittany. If the panel would like to come down, please. Oh, we've got a flag.
Let the fun begin. Let's do this. All right. Maybe we have to sing the bongos. Unlike the Welsh, the Bretons will take all of their time. Now, we get to the good stuff. We're talking about Brittany. There's a lot of pressure here, guys. We got to do better than all these other folks. Let's go around the room, go around the floor. Who are you guys and what company are you representing? Start at the end. Nadine.
Hello, I work for Familio. I'm communications manager for the UK and Irish market. I'll briefly explain Familio. About 10 years ago, the founder bought his grandma in her 80s an iPad so that she could keep up to date with the family news. Big family, brothers, sisters, cousins, and all that. Comes back a few weeks later, and Grandma's iPad is just where he left it, gathering dust. She's not very interested in using it, and even more so, she's disappointed because all the postcards and all the other photo albums that she used to receive, she's not getting any more. And that was the idea for Familio. The idea was to, by respecting the preferred communication methods of each generation, to better and more meaningfully connect between generations. So that now is a platform, it's a subscription for us young'uns in the room. Like a WhatsApp feed, you go about your day-to-day life, add to the feed what you've been up to. The difference is once a month, that feed, that family feed, is automatically converted into a printed newspaper that's automatically posted to Nana, Grandad, wherever she lives. So that was 10 years ago. It's now a successful company in Brittany. It's got 1.8 million users. That's about 250,000 families. And I would love to try and have some of that success in the UK and Irish market.
Hello, great. Hello everyone, I'm Samuel Leport. I'm very pleased to be here with you. First of all, I am the first French who are speaking, so sorry for my accent, of course. I am the CEO of Tribal. Tribal, what is it? Is an ethical and messaging app that I founded 4 years ago. Before I spent 20 years in IT consulting company called Soprasteria. I think Soprasteria is in UK quite famous. And Tribal is a kind of WhatsApp, free, that you can download for free in all the store right now, if you want. And you have professional release also. But first of all, the Tribal personal solution that you can use for free if you want, it's the only alternative that you have to BATX and GAFAM that permits you to reduce their carbon footprint. And also without compromising the security of your data, very important for us, and also in an intergenerational perspective for children, for example. And the professional release is quite amazing, but you need to discover it for public organization, for companies. The professional release can connect everyone in your organization, whether you have a smartphone professional or not, whether you have an email of your employees or not, whether you have the mobile phone or not, and whether you are a digital native or not. So thanks to Tribal professional release, you can really engage and commit all your employees from executive to the frontline worker. And it's very important, in my opinion, that we need, to develop altogether cohesion in companies to face all the transition we have to. Thank you.
Yeah, Sam, do not apologize about your accent, because every year there's like a contest, and it's either the French accent or the Irish accent that's rated the most sexy. So
you've just stolen
don't
my first joke.
apologize.
I need to say, Charles, just 1 second. I haven't spoken English for a while now, and I spoke English 10 years ago, during 10 years, because I work with Asian people in New Delhi, with a big team I have to manage, but it was not English, it was Indian English. So with my French accent, it's coming.
Right. Well, looking on the good accent part, Peter, I think, go
Yeah.
ahead, who are you?
Listen, he stole my joke. So yeah, my accent's not any better. I'm very sorry about that. I'm not going to steal Laurent's thunder, because Laurent wanted to present the firm as our managing director. So I'll come back to me afterwards, and I'll let Laurent present Fidal, law firm in France.
Thanks, Peter. My accent is not very good. So. I'm Laurent Drier. I'm the managing partner of Fidal, a business law firm in Brittany. It's one of the oldest law firms in France, 103 years.
Laurent's been here right from the start.
I love British more. So I'm Laurent Drier. The business law firm Fidal is 80 lawyers in Brittany and legal expert. 4 are here today, and spread over 7 offices in Brittany. We fully connect the territory and have a real good knowledge of the Breton economic ecosystem on its main player. Our 2 main playgrounds are family business firms. With, in Brittany, you have a lot of family business firms. It's really something important, with a short decision-making process, very committed to the issue of sustainability on responsible purchasing. And we developed something special for responsible purchasing. I don't know if you know it. The name is Produce in Brittany. It's a network for responsible purchasing. Very efficient. I want to also thank Charles and the entire organizing team for this wonderful event that even delight to be a part of. The idea of an exchange in this format with our friend of Welsh, Scottish, Ireland, and Cornish is a truly excellent initiative.
You're getting an extra pint tonight, mate.
Finally, to conclude, I would like to briefly review the economic activity in Brittany and tell you that it has historically been based on a strong traditional sector, farming, food, and as well real estate and hospitality. However, in recent years, two new sectors have emerged and are rapidly developing. First one is energy, solar, onshore and offshore wind, and also hydrogen. And the second one is cybersecurity. Our firm developed a cutting-edge expertise in energy matters from its Rennes office. The French tech program, which has grown significantly in Brittany, has also seen the emergence of an entire network of startups. In short, there is a lot of happening. If I had one piece of advice to give you, it would be to come and to see for yourself.
Cool. I want to get back to Nadine. I know Familio since, I would say, 2019. You guys have been crushing it. If I'm not adding too many zeros, I think you guys are around $13, $14 million or euros.
Correct.
And small team, what, under 50 people? I love the ambition, offices in Spain. The founder went to the US and now he's got this awesome Boston accent when he talks. You guys are, getting you and trying to get into the UK market. Small team, you're doing really well, but talk to me about these challenges a little bit, because you guys are kind of doing a lot. There might be some cultural differences. There's a B2B piece, there's a B2C piece. Help me better understand those challenges.
Certainly, yeah. There are challenges. It's a small team, especially developing the UK and Ireland team of one. Yes, I think we've talked about it. There are huge points of commonalities between our regions. This whole day has been about connection, about meaningfully connecting. And that's what we're in the business of doing, meaningfully connecting tribes, families. So, it definitely feels like a natural fit. But there are still differences. There are cultural differences. Families are different, from one point of any country to another, let alone language. And so, yes, from a communication and marketing point of view, that feedback from the other Celtic regions is essential to knowing exactly how we message and what really resonates. It's a very emotional product, and it needs to resonate at that level. With our customers. There's also a B2B, yes, and a B2C side of the business. So the B2C is direct to consumer. It's you sending it to your nan who lives wherever she lives in Australia, down the road, doesn't matter. But there's also, we work with a lot of care homes, over 2,500 in France. It's a very large part of our business. This is care homes, senior living communities, home care, all stages of sort of getting anyone from 80 years old living with dementia. That's also a part of our business. And we're now even moving into people living with learning disabilities. Sorry, I have to forgive me if I haven't used the right English terminology. I'm not used to saying it in English. But yes, so lots of ambition, lots of different ways that you can cut this. And that cultural component is key, and talking with you and getting that feedback would be incredibly helpful moving forward. Yeah.
Great. Sam, I've heard today people say Google, Microsoft, Oracle, they're quite proud of that, and I think it's really cool. You kind of have put your flag on this digital sovereignty piece. Maybe makes sense right now, because when I go on X, Twitter, the volatility on there is quite crazy for the geopolitical piece. People are rethinking this. What are we doing with customer data, AI, data centers? Where is that data going? All of that. You mentioned quickly that your sovereign data piece. I think you need to tell us a little bit more about it and why that's really, really important for European actors right now.
Yes. How long we have?
Well, we got a cocktail after, but
just before we spoke about Oracle, Thales, and so on with Wells colleagues, I think. Thank you for the question. Thank you to Trump right now, because he is doing the marketing of Rebel. It was not in my strategy. Of course, it's a joke. I will prefer another way for everybody on the planet. Anyway, maybe just to share with you, you know, I think the context show us our dependence to strong players that are hegemonic on all the planet. And it makes me share with you 3 challenges that we need to question the suppliers we are choosing every day. First of all, if we want to reindustrialize UK, Cornwall, Brittany, France, Europe, I think we have no choice to choose another way and to prefer our autonomous strategy, but also including digital. And I think digital is a priority, but this is the most difficult things to do because digital is everywhere. As you know, digital influence what we consume, what we buy, the suppliers we are choosing, we are working with. And really, I think this is a priority to others' strategy of reindustrialization. Secondly, and there is 3 points only. Secondly, about democracy, I think it is urgent to preserve our democracy. We have elections soon in France. And actually, in terms of democracy, we need to take back the control of our uses, of our practices that respect our culture, our local identity here in Brittany. This is my second point of view. If we don't want that election in France on others, depends on some guys like my friends, it's a joke, Musk, for example. And last point, Charles, if you want, in terms of ecological transition, really I think that we cannot succeed in digital ecological transition, on CSR policies in our public organization, in our government, in our companies, if we don't take a strategy toward resilient, and if we want to succeed to ecological transition, digital autonomous strategy is mandatory, in my opinion.
Peter, you are from Belfast, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct.
How long do you live in Brittany for now?
More than half my life, so
Really?
I'll let you guess.
Did you make a wrong turn on the parkway?
I made a wrong turn, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm afraid. A wrong turn south. I've been here for 25 years, here in Brittany for 25 years.
Okay, 25 years, and you have a strong focus on the international side in the firm. I'd like to better understand how you're helping companies, maybe from the UK, come into the French market. What are you doing for them?
Everything. What we're doing for firms in Brittany, coming from abroad. So I've got two main vectors. So French companies going abroad to Ireland, to England, to further afield, and also Irish companies, British companies setting up in France. So that's really our strong point, because we're, like Laurent said, a full service law firm. So we do tax, we do company, we do VC, we do social, we do environmental, we do every aspect of business law. So when someone comes to me and says, Peter, I need to set up in France, I find them the suitable vehicle to set up, and we basically give them a whole package where they have the company set up. We get it prepped for first stage, for Series A, Series B, for day-to-day, and they just get the head down, get the work done, and we look after everything. The relationship between co-founders, the relationship with suppliers, with clients, and going forward, preparing the vehicle for a sale further down the line.
Yeah, so we're really highlighting Celtic success. What are you seeing sort of that pipeline towards France? I think when we look at, because of Brexit, trade between Ireland and France has never been larger. We're talking about closest neighbors, but extremely important trading partners. Kind of give us kind of an inside view here without kind of divulging things you're not supposed to, but I'd like to better understand, like, what's this flow of kind of companies and businesses and things that are coming into France, specifically Brittany, that you're seeing and you're helping every day?
Yeah, well, as Laurent said, our traditional sectors are agro-food and family-owned businesses. And for the last maybe 5-6 years, we've seen a real development in new technology, in renewable energy, and that we've between Ireland and Brittany, we've seen them bypass England after Brexit, and we've got a real workflow coming through from Ireland, and the other way around as well. So.
Interesting. Laurent, a question for you, because we actually met for the first time like 5 years ago. I don't know if you remember this. We were sort of in a brainstorming session around rethinking Brittany, something like that. It wasn't very much a business event. It was more kind of like, hey, we want to make a difference type of thing. And you were there. And you're probably a busy guy. You could have been golfing in Spain or something. And you were there brainstorming about Brittany, and you're here today. Can you explain why you're attached to Brittany and why it's important to be here right now?
I will try. Yeah, it's a think tank. It was We met in a think tank whose name is Bretagne Prospective. The main goal is to have a reflection about the future of Brittany. How we can have a good network, what is important, what is the main symbol of Brittany, and also how we can keep our culture. So we have each year a session to reflect together, to think together about Brittany and the future of Brittany. And it's very important for me. I want to give you an image. Have you ever seen on a championship, when you look at your TV, you always see a Breton flag? Ever, ever, ever. The only flag you ever see is Breton flag. That's why I'm very concerned by the subject. Brittany is in my heart.
I love it. Bretons are crazy, yo. I got, for the two startups at the end, I want to talk go-to-market stuff, so tough questions here. Nadine, you're like, oh gosh, I'm by myself, and there's this channel between us. Sam, you're like, you know, talking about eco-friendly and stuff, and people are like, well, I'm dealing with Microsoft, you know? Go-to-market strategy, guys, what are some of the things that you are putting in place in the months ahead that help you kind of unlock stuff? And also, look, we got some cool people here. What are some go-to-market stuff, sales-wise, marketing-wise, partnerships? What are some of the things you're looking for in the future that maybe someone here can help with?
We want to start? Okay, let's go.
Okay. So yeah, we're at the moment we're looking to try and find a sales representative for B2B. That's beginning. So, and that's sort of been the next steps to really have someone sur terrain, on the ground. Thanks,
yeah.
Guys. to help. But yeah, what I'm really, I guess, here is the opportunity to, if you don't ask, you don't get. I mean, if anyone, in that healthcare space has any contacts, this is a product that genuinely does help a lot of families. So if anyone can put me in contact with anything in the senior living realm, that would be fantastic. It's maybe a bit cheeky, but if you would just like to sign up, if you have a nan or a granddad in your 80s, I'm pretty sure you won't regret either signing up or talking about it to someone who you do know has someone of that age. Or find me on LinkedIn. And if you are considering anything in France, if something you're curious, a market that you'd like to find out more, and there's perhaps a linguistic barrier there or cultural barrier that I can maybe help with, please do get in touch. I'd love this to be an opportunity.
You've got a Gazette there, right?
Sorry? Yes.
Yeah, show that to everybody. Anybody here can help her? Raise your hand, please, if you got an idea. We've got it all the way in the back. 2, 3 people, 4. Oh la la, oh la la, on fire, baby.
Thank you.
Yeah, Sam,
I
tell
have
us.
the pressure. I am waiting
Yeah,
for
this is now.
4
I wanna
hands
hear
now.
You go now, man. What's market, baby?
maybe sharing that there is a momentum for me, for tribal right now, because of the context we talked about just before. I am waiting for this momentum since 5 years. So it's now. So now I need to go fast, very fast, to take the market. So I have a success story in each vertical, in each market, because I was waiting to accelerate for the momentum we have right now. So of course, like everybody, I need funds, investors, to accelerate first. But what I need also, at the same level, to go fast, the both strategy is important, is to open the door. Because you speak about Microsoft, effectively, I am not as well famous as Microsoft for the moment, on the others. And what would be very interesting in UK and here is to have some partnership like distributor, integrator, so that they can distribute the solution, sell some services for you on your customers, that the customer are confident with you. So that you open the door, you distribute and you optimize the solution, which is very robust, and it will accelerate so that we can take the market quickly against the GAFAM.
Cool.
On the BATX, don't forget the BATX. Maybe I can explain the BATX. BATX are the GAFAM, but on the Asia part, so TikTok, Alibaba, and so on. But in Europe, we have nothing yet. So we need to work all together, because we have some idea, really. We have some strong engineers. We have cybersecurity. We spoke about speaker. We have all the talent we can in Europe on its Celtic culture to be really a strong alternative. And I think we have no choice for the third reason I explained before.
Peter, I mean, I'm sitting from here, I have this awesome view. Has everyone seen Peter's shoes? These are, I'm sorry, no one else has done as well as him today.
That's
Those are like, holy Toledo. Those are awesome.
It's the only thing French about me.
Yeah. So I have a question for you. We're talking about synergies. We're talking about collaboration. How can Fidel maybe collaborate with some of their Celtic peers in the same businesses but non-compete? What are some things or do you already have those synergies, or maybe some things?
Yeah,
we can think about?
We did have synergies like that. In the UK, well, we have a network of best friends all around the world. So basically, our main aim is to provide an answer to our clients, to their problems, to their needs. And if it's through us, so much the better. If it's through our network of best friends, then we go through a network of best friends. Myself and Sarah, we are working hard on relationships with Irish firms, with Capital Law. I'm in touch with Celine, so we work together over the different jurisdictions, and yeah, that's.
I love it. I love it. Final question here, Sam, the man, you translated your app when you didn't really have to into Breton. You are very cool. I actually know someone from the Welsh government, and I know somebody in the back, the silent assassin, Thomas, who is doing a digital roadmap in Irish. You maybe need to connect with them, because it could be in Irish and Welsh, right?
Yeah. We can translate the tribal for all the cultures that they want. I just need the file with the translation.
That should be easy.
Yeah.
And
if you want.
Can we do Cornish too? Know anybody? Yeah. Awesome. If there are any questions for Brittany, we usually do that at around the bar, so save it for around the bar, okay? Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, guys. So, our penultimate pictures. This morning, we started with the diaspora video. We've brought one of our other stars of the video to come and do the final 10 minutes. So I'd like to introduce Laura Giles, who's the Managing Director of Screen Cornwall. Yes, the AV guy's actually gone home because his shift finished. So I can't know the lights. Imagine you're in a cinema, and this is a little visual, like amuse-bouche before I talk.
Fallen on the coast guard, and they haven't found it yet.
Last call for Mallory Towers.
So yeah, thanks for having me, and apologies for being pretty much the last person between you and a drink. But yeah, I just wanted to finish off by sort of talking about the power of stories and the power of communication and media to create cultural translation and commercial opportunity, really. And thanks to Charles for setting me up right at the beginning of the day by saying that getting some more Celtic content and Celtic stories on Netflix would be a really great way to start to build this movement, to build the inter-Celtic relationships, but also build the diaspora stories. So this is just a little slide to sort of talk about what Screen Cornwall does. We're 6 years old, we're pretty young for a screen agency. There wasn't anything in Cornwall before. I've previously worked at the BFI in London, so I've worked with lots of the national and regional screen agencies and used to run the UK Film Centre in Cannes, so worked a lot internationally. And what we kind of knew from day one was that we needed to build an ecosystem for this to be successful. So we work on sector support. The policy and advocacy bit is really, really important because of the Cornish language and the special nature of that and the special recognition of it. But the things we do are very much typical of a screen agency. So talent development, kind of market focus and infrastructure are really important parts of what we do. But the most important part is not actually in that circle or in the middle where we talk about the sort of social foundation and ecological ceiling of what we want to do. We don't want 25 Marvel films coming to Cornwall and wrecking the environment we live in. So there is a sort of boundary that we want to work within, but there's still plenty of headroom at the moment within that. The most important arrows are actually the inward investment and the global and exports and audiences arrows, because really the Celtic nations and the people in the room today and their colleagues and friends and families and audience members are the first port of call for us as Cornwall because of that really strong link. Not just the language link, Welsh, Breton and Cornish are very similar. I've sort of just done grade 1 Cornish and I know how hard it is to learn from an English speaking perspective, but I think there's that kind of language issue, but there's also that kind of underlying feeling of what joins us, the things that Nicola was talking about at the beginning, and the kind of, not just the landscape, the culture, the arts, the music, but that sort of deep sense of tradition, of folklore, of heritage that makes the sort of stories really resonate with those audiences. And then obviously beyond the Celtic nations, the diaspora is really, really important. So these are two figures that drive our work. One of them is spend in region. It's very much about economic growth. It's very much about opportunities for talent. And in Cornwall, a lot of people who aspire to work in the film and TV industries feel they have to leave. They have to go to a big urban centre. And we want to retain that talent in Cornwall. We want them to have the chance to tell their stories, to see authentic portrayals of Cornwall on the screen. So not just the Londoners coming down and doing the picture postcard view of Cornwall, which, we're very happy to work with them and provide them with crew and, support them in their process. But we also want to see an equal amount of stories coming out of the region itself. The other thing we look at is the addressable market. And this was looked at a couple of years ago, starting with the Cornish language community as the absolute core, but building out into people who see themselves as ethnically Cornish, the resident population, the global diaspora, and the annual visitors. And that
brings a pretty decent addressable market for a small peninsula in England. So I think, you know, our ambition is global, and actually it enables us to break free from some of the traditions of broadcasting and media. It's quite a traditional funding model. It's quite siloed. It is quite difficult to break into. And I think with what we're trying to do with Screen Cornwall, we're sort of trying to flip some of that and say, we don't have to do it the normal way. Yes, we'd love to get stuff on BBC One prime time for that audience, but also let's put stuff out digitally and let's find audiences in overseas that are going to smash the numbers that we could get from UK audiences. So we've got a real ambition to do things slightly differently, slightly from the edge, maybe a bit disruptively, and find some of that audience. I want to talk about one project that we've worked on recently that I think is a really interesting case study of where we want to go. So this was called Two Hands as a concept. You can see the Cornish, French and Breton versions because we publicised it in all those languages. And this really started from a conversation I had at Celtic Media Festival with Maël, who runs some of the Breton programming at France 3 Britannia. And he and I were sort of saying, wouldn't it be brilliant if we could do a co-commission in Breton and Cornish, because the languages are so similar and there's so many interesting kind of stories that could emerge. And if you give a filmmaker a challenge, they love that. It took us a long time to get this kind of partnership together. We were lucky enough to have support from the Finisterre Cooperation resource that used to exist at Cornwall Council. So we did some exchange visits with filmmakers. A Breton delegation came to Falmouth, and then a Cornish delegation went to Quimper when the Celtic Media Festival was in Quimper. And out of that brought this idea, shaped it up. We've shaped it up further at the Celtic Media Festival in Donegal in 2023, and then launched an open call for filmmakers. And the film was made in October. It's just finished. I can't show it to you today, unfortunately, but it will be coming to various festivals and then onto France 3 Britannia platforms. And what we've learned from that process really is, the long time it takes to build true partnership, but the value in doing that so that you're really, really clear on your kind of collective objectives. We also learned that lots of people respond to a brief that allows them to think differently, and we really wanted this to be a 50-50 project, and we had quite a lot of scripts that were essentially a Cornish story with a little bit of Breton thrown in, because script writers do like to take stuff out the drawer and kind of, you know, rehash it a little bit for new opportunities. But we found a script that had a really clear 50-50 story, 50-50 shoots in both of the regions, and 50-50 talent. So you'll see the two young stars of the film there. It's about two young girls and some of the things that are happening in their lives. And the other thing we learned was, well, I learned from a Cornish working with Breton point of view, is just the excitement and challenge of the French bureaucracy. So legals, finance, all of the things that I thought could be done quite quickly ended up taking me much, much longer than planned. But I was saying to Gaid, who helped me set up the kind of cooperation in the first place, although it's been challenging and a big learning curve, what's been amazing is the creative process that we've been through in parallel has kept my faith and kept my love of the project and kept the big end goal in place so that I can get through the paperwork basically and make it fun. Just wanted to wrap up by saying where we're sort of trying to go with this, the cultural meeting the commercial. So the media bill included Canoic in the first time the UK media bill, which means we are now given us equal recognition with Welsh and Scots language and Irish in terms of how UK media should be supporting and resourcing media in Cornwall. We're working with lots of the big broadcasters. We've got Celtic Media Festival coming. We're increasing commissioning and doing this audience development. And we've now got a platform with Cornish-made audio and video on cornwall365.com, where you can watch loads of stuff from our talent development programs, loads of stuff in Canoic. And we're providing that free and looking at what happens. It's a pilot to see how audiences engage and how far it travels. And already the Google Maps stats of where people are watching from is really, really interesting.
Kerno Onni. Shaped by our landscape. Goon Ros Carn and Cove. I'm proud of our past. In Magenini, Agan Honan Tavas. And a unique way with words. Rib or crust, Ogi and a Bolate. keep loustering all day. Down Reswick, Agon, Graythan. And our rituals remain. Our customs continue to thrive, prosper and evolve. Tresmelio Blethen, Agon Weddell, Ray de Bledies. But there are chapters not yet written, new myths to create. We are a community, a chorus, a choir. Spirited, compassionate, and dry stone strong.
Thanks. So that sort of just wraps up the feeling and the spirit of how we in the media industry in Cornwall want to work with Celtic colleagues. And that was produced by Basenna, which is the production company behind Mark Jenkins' films, which are very famous for now really authentically representing Cornish history, culture, landscape, modern challenges. So yeah, I just wanted to wrap up by sort of thank you for inviting me here and just saying that we are very open to collaboration. We're really keen to develop partnerships, and what we've done in a really small way with Brittany on the short film, we're really hoping to do with other parts of the Celtic nations. And the Celtic Media Festival will be in Newquay the 3rd to the 5th of June. There'll be loads of representatives from those countries, but if you know of anybody who would be useful to connect with, I'd really love to meet them. Thank you.
Another short presentation, I haven't promised. That's it, everyone. I mean, that's the end of an amazing day. I don't know about you, but I've certainly had a brain full of ideas, a lot of inspiration as to how we can continue these conversations. We can keep chatting over some drinks. There's drinks waiting for us, a choir waiting for us who's waiting to sing in a multitude of Celtic languages. But just a couple of quick thank yous. Thank you to all the speakers, and thank you for everybody, especially those who have travelled a long way to get here. We do really appreciate it, and we're really honoured to have you here in Cornwall. I know some of you have never been before, and the fact that you're coming here for a business event rather than a holiday as your first trip to Cornwall is actually really quite a milestone for us. So thank you very much. Thank you to a few of the people that have helped in terms of sponsoring drinks, for example, Pentire and Atlantic Brewery. We're very proud of our food and drink produce in Cornwall, as are all of the Celtic regions. So please enjoy those drinks. Falmouth University, who have provided those booths in the Learning Centre. Cornish Food Store, who have expertly helped curate the bags of goodies that you're taking away with you. Ollangwella, who are the choir, I'm sure you're going to love hearing them. The caterers, we were very specific. We wanted great Cornish food for lunch, so I hope you've all enjoyed that. Sally, the photographer, who has been whizzing around all day and expertly capturing this, I hope you'll all enjoy the footage that we'll share, and please keep on shouting about that and resharing as you see it online. Thank you to Charles, who I'm sure everyone... What an inspiration. Thank you for doing all of this. You do it tirelessly, and I'm sure everyone would like to say thank you for the work you do and just keeping that flame going, because it really is important. And I'd also like to say a huge thank you to Helen, because Helen has had to deal with Charles and I and all of our ideas and actually make it come to life. So thank you so much. Sally, just brought some flowers for you. Well deserved. And Charles has one very quick, because we have to be very quick and get downstairs for the choir.
It's working. I'm thirsty, everybody. I'm thirsty, but as you know, at the forum, we always have surprises. What is the surprise? Well, look, you've got your calendars. We've told you London Tech Week, we're doing something cool. But we always have to be a little bit different. So we're doing something new this year. The one and only, look at this, the Interceltic Startup Challenge starts right now. We will choose one regional winner. There's some awesome jurors, some of them are in the room. We will choose from each region one startup that is the most innovative, the most sexy, the most compelling. And we will fly them to Lorient this summer on August 4th to tell us about what they're building, what they're creating, and we're going to help them. There are a lot of partners, there's like 20 of them. I'm not going to name them all. They are partners of the forum, traditionally some of them are new and want to help these companies, want to be part of the community, and want to keep on building what we're doing. So what we want to do now, I just want to get a picture with, if your logo's up there, or if you think your logo's up there, come up here, and I want to take a group picture with all of y'all, and then we can have a drink. Merci.
Oh, one rule, sorry, for the evening, we always do this, because Charles doesn't get enough. He doesn't like to, thanks, but Charles is not allowed to buy a beer for the night. If I see him buy a beer, you're all in trouble.
Good man.
Yeah.
I'm too hot. What do we need to clean up here? You did?